Plus, I be peeping game. I'm like, hold on, this nigga, Mitch, Pushman Mitch. I'm like 5. I'm like, I done peeped game. These niggas done got up out them tracksuits. These niggas in these suits now. I'm like, yeah, trying to get more sponsors and everything. I'm like, nah, okay, I'm peeping game.
I see what you came to the gala in.
You know, my nigga said, you know, it was black tie, formal. I'm like, so I'm gonna keep all the way real. You said black tie, formal. I'm like, niggas might be in all like black tuxedos. So everybody gonna be in black.
So you was trying to stand out.
So I'm like, yo, I hit Adrian. I'm like, bro, I'm just gonna keep it all the way real with you, bro. I ain't coming in black, bro. I gotta come in purple. Like I told him about the gate. I'm like, all right. But then once I really got to thinking about it, I'm like, that shit just really mean formal. I'm like, niggas not gonna come in all black. So I'm like, all right, fuck it though. But I'm still gonna be the flyest nigga in the building. But like I was telling, I don't know if I was telling you, but I was definitely like, nah, the way this nigga T came in, I'm like, oh, that was perfect. I'm like, see, that's like them and my twin and shit. Because I'm like, but that's the effect I was really going for, you feel me, to a degree. But I'm like, I would have did some shit like that.
I ain't know they had that lined up anyway, though. The way
nobody knew. Only Adrian knew. Like, he told, the shit was wild, bro. So the song started playing. He looked at us and was just like, bro, y'all talking T? Because he said if he make it, like, this is the song that's going to come on, and he was going to come in. Nigga, like 10 seconds later, this nigga come through, walking through the door. We like, hell nah. Because I had hit him earlier in the day, and he was like, I was like, bro, tell me you made it back to the O. He was like, I wish. I'm like, oh, damn, bro.
I seen him when he put the little, the note on his Instagram, like stuck in ATL. Yeah. So I already was expecting it, you feel me? But he probably had a plan lined up the whole time for real.
He probably did.
But for those of y'all that don't know, we talking about the Day One Gala. We got Amyr here, who is one of our sponsors. Amyr Law, you feel me?
In the building.
What's the credential you got in your Instagram bio?
You know, #1 government activist, and I've empowered over 1,200 Americans in the past 7 to 8 years.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So what is an activist? What is a government activist?
So that's a good question, because some people might look at that and be like, he worked for the government. So, you know what I mean?
Right,
the feds. I know some people look at it like that, but it's not that. Like, I'm for the people. Like, I help people understand their rights under the Constitution. So as a government activist, it's like, if the government is, you know, overreaching, or IRS or anything like that, I'm here to help you out in terms of understanding your rights and how to express yourself, and also to help the government and help you understand, like, hey, this is the line. Like, you can't cross. You feel me? Like, this is what your law is saying.
You like the translator for the government.
I wouldn't say for the government, because I don't work for the government.
Right. For the people.
In terms of, I work for the people.
Right.
But in terms of just on both sides, helping understand, like, this is where we coming from, and, you know, this is how you should go at them. Like, don't be belligerent, don't be getting mad and all that. Like, conduct yourself, you know what I mean, properly. Then at the same end, on y'all end, like, hey, y'all gotta understand, like, you know, we not. I get it. It's 2 citizens in the Constitution. We not the U.S. citizens. You feel me? That's not who we are. We private citizens, non-statutory citizens. So we have to be treated differently. We have to be treated within the fold of the Constitution. We actually know our rights. So handle us differently.
Oh, okay. So knowing your rights is what makes you a private citizen.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because there's no way you don't know your rights, like, and not become a private citizen, because you start to understand, okay, it's 2 different types of statuses, 2 different types of citizens.
So when you becoming a private citizen, are you eradicating your birth certificate and all of that stuff, your Social Security? Are you getting rid of that?
You're not getting rid of it. You're not saying you're not a part of the United States. You're saying, hey. So first off, the birth certificate, it's like a shapeshifter. It could be, you could call it, you know, a handful of different things, right? But let's just say, okay, it's a security. With that, you want to transfer that to your trust. So now you got equity in the security, and you securing it. So for people that truly don't understand what equity is, like your ownership interest in whatever asset it is. So you protecting that. Mm-hmm. That's understanding that it's a security and not like that's not you. That's like not your name. It's almost like
your LLC or something.
Yeah, you could even look at it like that, like
right.
your LLC. You know what I mean? So understanding like that's not you, and then like your business can be owned by a trust. You know what I mean? And so that's how you want to look at it. That's how you want to set it up, and not think like, oh, the name on the birth certificate, oh, that's me. That would be equivalent to the owner of Target being like, shit, my name Target. You know what I mean?
Hey,
like motherfuckers gonna look at you and be like, that ain't make no sense. Target's a business. What you mean?
Right.
I was going to ask
Target?
you, how do you like get people to understand that? Because I feel like when you first hear that, like the name on the birth certificate, people like, of course that's me. Like, but you put it perfectly when you say it's kind of like the owner of Target saying I'm Target. But how do you usually explain it to get people to understand that?
Honestly, that's really I think like that is one of the ways I get people to understand it. Not only that, I can't remember his name right now. But basically there is a lawyer from like early 1900s type shit, and he is basically on record, on video, saying like the shit that we talk about, like, oh, you think the name on your birth certificate is you? That's hearsay. How do you know it's you? Like, how? You know what I mean? Like, you only think that's you because of society.
That's what you associate.
Like, yeah.
And it's so clean that you used the Target example, because to piggyback on that, I was going to say last night, like, look at Geico. They got a lizard as the face of their company, but nobody know the real face or who really own that company. So it's like whoever we say is, or whoever we make you believe is the owner of this is who is the owner of this hearsay, like you said.
Yeah. So you got to think of it like this. Most people, when you think of a business, you think, oh, the CEO is the owner, right?
Yeah.
Nah. It literally, like, I can, like, I got Matisse Academy. I can pay a CEO to be a CEO.
Right.
He's not the owner. Mm-hmm. He's just a CEO. But I'm the owner. You feel what I'm saying? So no, it just happens to be like that most of the time. But
did you hear about the CEO of I think it was like United Healthcare?
Yeah, smoked him.
He probably wasn't even the real one that owned it though.
Yeah. That could be very, very true.
Okay, so imagine I'm not a private citizen yet, but I want healthcare. Is there a way that I can go get it without paying or being limited as far as resources, or waiting in a line at the hospital, or something like that?
I don't think so. Like, in terms of just like, all right, so that's two different things. In terms of us like being priority in the hospital,
Priority, right?
Like, nah, I doubt that, because it's kind of like unethical and like morally unjust. It's kind of like if we all equal under God, under the sun, you feel me? Then it's like,
okay, but imagine, because how black women go in there and they be negligent with them.
Yeah.
And there ain't really no way to kind of prove that.
I mean, yeah, that is true, but that's also like, we shouldn't be like, when you like the overall picture, that is true, right? But the overall picture of that is we shouldn't be going to these doctors anyways. Yeah. Like, we should be, more of the holistic life. So if we get sick, what herbs can we take and stuff like that? You know what I mean? Now, granted, if you need some type of surgery, right, we got to go there, right? Because I wouldn't even trust somebody doing surgery in their basement. No matter how clean it is. That's just the reality.
Right.
But majority of the stuff, if you get sick, you having birth, you giving birth or anything like that, it's just like that. Those type of things can be handled at home and where they should be.
I think that's a good correlation to like the hospital example and then like the government overreach, because we go to the hospital because we don't necessarily know. Like, we don't know how to take care of our bodies.
Right.
We don't have the information to heal ourselves holistically. So when we go to the hospitals, it's easier for them to take advantage of
Up charges.
Yeah.
Same thing
But
with
even emergencies, you know what I mean? So this is why I think like I don't want to. I don't know the answer, right? I don't know the solution, but there needs to be like some type of holistic, you know, hospital or like a black hospital, whatever they want to call it. You know what I mean?
Hospital, that'd be hard.
Because
They called them
so
witches
like when
back
it comes to emergencies and stuff like that, like I get it. Like there's nobody on the streets that you can go to that you're gonna feel safe. Like take me to the hospital if it's an emergency. Like I'm just gonna keep it all the way real.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when it comes to, you know, giving birth, like my daughter's 5 and we had you know, like we had a situation. Like my child's mother, she was in back labor for like a whole week. So at that point, like we had to go to the hospital. But I wasn't prepared for that because we prepared to have my daughter at home. You know what I mean? So in situations like that, it's just you would rather be at least going to a place that got your best interest.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And you ain't going to have to fight for, you know, your wishes. And, you know what I mean? You can just be more aligned and more on the same page. So
Speaking of Speaking of emergencies, have you been getting calls from anybody out on the West Coast?
Not that I know of just yet. I probably will know more next week. We'll see.
Okay.
Not that I know of just yet, though.
With all the fires going on, I just been seeing a lot of people that was talking about it. And I remember seeing somebody last year, Vince Staples. I don't know if y'all familiar with him. Mm-hmm. He was buying homes in L.A., and this was last year, and he said he couldn't get home insurance. So I was wondering, like, is there a way around that, like, or can the government just tell you, hey, you can't insure your home?
So those insurance companies, like, they're not government agencies, so it's just, you know.
But if you don't get insurance, isn't the bank losing now? Because like the home that they just pretty much paid for, right, is not.
In theory, like I mean, that's like. So if you truly understand banking, no, they're not losing out. It's just you between a rock and a hard place. You feel me? Because you gotta. If you understand banking, then you know, all right, you signed a promissory note. That's collateral when you got the house. But when you got the house, you're making payments on it. So first off, they're collecting payments from you, right? So they win in that way. But then the promissory note, they can use that, like that's cash money.
Wow.
So they can sell that to somebody else and get the money. You know what I mean?
Wow.
So they haven't lost. Like at the end of the day, it's like at the end of the day, shit, it ain't on me, it's on him. Like, that's how they feel. I've already made the money. So like, you just going to default and we're going to take your house. So now we've made a little bit of money on the house. We're going to take your house and we made money on the promissory note. Now all we're going to do is resell the house. So we continue to win while you just lost. You just lost everything.
If you got a property out in L.A. and it burned down in the L.A. fires, are you taking any steps to try to get some money back or get anything from that, or are you just chalking it up as a loss?
That's a good question. To be honest with you, I try to, be as real as I can be thinking in situations.
Yeah.
Like, not to say I wouldn't try to get some type of money out of the situation, but that will be like down the road or kind of like a few years from now. I'm more so like, shit, I just lost the house.
Yeah,
I gotta handle shit.
Okay.
I gotta, make sure everybody's stable, feeling safe and comfortable, and, try to weather this storm basically. And, we just lost a lot of sentimental shit that money can't replace, you feel me?
Mm-hmm.
So it's like we gotta deal with those emotions and everything like that. So I would be more so thinking about that. And, if I'm gonna try to get some money out that shit, that probably would be on the back burner for a little bit.
How do the fires in LA affect the rest of the nation, if at all?
I mean, I don't know that it really affects the rest of the nation unless it's just like I guess maybe in terms of like business, because a lot of business goes out in LA. Like, I guess you can say that, but outside of that, I don't really think it really affects the rest of the nation. Just other than the rest of us, just caring, what I mean, and trying to help out, and just trying to understand the logic behind like how this, what I mean, like what really happened. Then, what I mean, what happened in Hawaii and Maui and shit like that shit, like, come on, that was a setup. So they doubling down on this now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I don't believe in coincidences, so I'm definitely
Me either.
like,
That's what I was gonna ask you. Do you think it is like set up?
Yeah, bro.
It had
and they got footage from what I hear, right? I ain't seen nothing, but from what I hear, they even got like it's been reports of people seeing other people just going around like starting to set the fires and shit.
Did y'all see that it was a black dude on Instagram or Twitter or something? He was filling up a blowtorch at the gas station. Then he went on the freeway and started spraying it.
See?
That's crazy.
And they got homeless camps too.
They charged him with the fires in LA. Like it was a section of LA that burnt down. He got charged with.
That's crazy,
bro. And I don't want to say he didn't do it because he was dumb enough to do what he did on camera. But I mean, you talking about 3-4 acres worth of land. Like it seemed like intentional, one, because of how much stuff got burnt. Two, if they denying people home insurance a year before the fires happened, like it seemed like premeditated.
Like months before that, you know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
they knew.
Yeah,
like it's right around the corner. No home insurance for y'all. That's crazy. What do you think the biggest panic? Because
there could. I mean, like okay, just trying to be fair and play devil's advocate, right? Just looking at shit from a business perspective, right? It's like, I don't know the math on it, the science on it, right? But it could be, all right, we know every 26 months there's a fire in LA, you feel me? Shit, I'm about to save money, and you know what I mean? Like, I'm gonna cancel this shit now, you know what I mean? Like, that sounds like it fucking sucks. That sounds horrible, right? But from a business perspective, it might make hella sense, and that might be the move you gotta make. Now, will people be mad because they like, damn, I ain't had insurance? Then boom, but at the same time, it's like I got people that work for my business. They got family. They gotta eat. I gotta eat. I ain't been we gotta survive, and I gotta be a good CEO and make the decisions that's best for the company and best for my people and everything. You know what I mean? So then, there's a whole different side to it. You're like, it's unfortunate that some fires did happen. And, people probably would hate that I say this, but the reality is, you looking at it from a business perspective, you like, shit, y'all can go elsewhere and they can take that liability. I ain't going, I'm gonna cut my losses now before we get into that, you feel me? And I'm gonna pivot now. That's the smart business move to make.
See, people would agree with you on that because it is the smart business move to make. But then when people took that same mentality into the election, they got bullied for it. Because a lot of people, I think, was making a business decision and who they voted for. I'm not saying who voted for who, but a lot of people went to the polls and was like, as far as financially and economically and how I'm going to just fare and my family is going to fare, I'm going to go vote this way, regardless of how my community might feel. And it's like, I don't know what's right or wrong in that instance, really. Like, it's kind of tough.
I mean, that's fair. That's a real battle. That's fair.
But you knowing what you know as far as activism, do you feel like it's fair for citizens to be panicking based on who's in office, or does it really not matter?
Hell no.
Okay.
Hell no.
Because that'd be my biggest thing. Like, y'all mad at me, and it don't even matter who in office.
I don't vote, so
all right.
Hell no. Like, I don't vote. And
y'all
I made a
from
post saying, like, if I did vote, I would have voted Republican. Sure, like, I would have. I'm not afraid to say that. But I don't vote because I'm like, shit, just knowing what I know. You know what I mean? It's like, no matter which way you vote, they both lead to the same source. So it's just like knowing that, I ain't about to waste my time. Like, and not to say your life can't be somewhat affected. You know what I mean? So I get why some people be like, yo, go vote. So that's why I don't push the narrative to don't vote. I just be like, I'm not. But in terms of like, if you want to vote, if we really want to get technical, like, yeah, the House and the Senate, like, yeah, that shit matter because like the Senate is really for the people. You know what I mean? Like, so you would want somebody in there that represents you well.
How are they for the people?
The structure of the legal system, like, that's just the way it's set up. So without getting too deep into it, like the Senate was first, and then they created the House.
Okay.
And so the Senate is set up that they represent the people, and they, you know, if this is what the people want, then this is what we're gonna elect, or this is what we're gonna, you know, make happen for the people. Like the Senate is representatives of the people.
Okay.
Where the House is like representatives of like the lawmakers. You know what I mean? And so like that's the battle. So I mean, yeah.
See, that's why we need education, because me, like, I'm just at the point where I think nobody in the government is for me. Like, it ain't no allies.
They not. But that's what I'm saying, like, in terms of trying to affect, you know, change in the system, I'm like, well, then, like, vote who matters to you in the Senate, though. Not the president, in the Senate. Like, the president is really working off just executive orders, you know? But, the Senate is just, like, what really is going to matter.
They just the face for real.
Yeah.
When you see people in panic about the election, what's the first thing that come to mind? Like, what's the first thing you would want to say?
First thing come to my mind is just, like, get yourself together before you even start to think about something like that. I'm like, hold on, get your credit together. Get your, you know what I mean, get your business together. Just get your life together. You know what I mean? Get stable. You know what I mean? Put some money up in the bank for emergencies and this and that. Like, start to understand your rights and, like, get yourself stable and get yourself together. Then you can start to, you know, go deeper and worry about who you should vote, who you shouldn't vote for, why this, why that. Like,
it be seeming like false activism to me. Like, because you do it for real, but there's people out here that's trying to, like, they don't be no activists until every 4 years, and now they trying to tell you who to vote for and whatnot. Like,
yeah, I hate that. I hate that, especially when you just regurgitating some information that people told you.
Yeah,
So it's like, nah, do you really understand the history of America and how this shit was structured? You know what I mean? Where the power source, you know what I mean? Like, do you understand where the money from taxes go? Do you understand?
I don't understand that, by the way.
I mean, like, when you start following the money and everything, like, people just think 100% of taxes go to, you know, the people and helping with construction and all this and all that. Yeah, no, that's just false. Now, I can't speak on what percentage goes where, but I can tell you for facts, like, a large, very large, probably majority percentage of taxes that goes back to the crown.
How did they get us to start? The British?
Yeah.
And that's how they got us to start paying taxes?
Yeah, because the history before they came over here, like, it was like, it's just essentially Moors here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it was just us. Or if you want to call it Indian, you know, like American Indians. You know what I mean? Like, it was just us.
Do you think, because you know how they say black people are from Africa. I got a theory that we was already here.
No, that's what I'm saying. American
Indian
Indians.
Moors.
Yeah. So, do you think when they tell the history of, I guess, slavery and how black people are African Americans, what's your thought on that?
The history they are telling, is it exaggerated? I believe so. But did they bring Africans over here? Yes, they did, for sure.
How
we
many
were
of
just
them
not
you think-
Africans? You know what I mean? We was already here. We Americans.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that's just what it is. They just, you know, they tricked us. And that's why, like, Keon, you probably heard me say, like, Like these people, they don't break law. They trick you out of your position.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? They get you thinking you somebody who you not. They get you thinking some rules apply to you that they really don't, but they do if you don't know who you are.
Yeah.
Like that's what they are good at. It's casuistry. That's the real thing.
Yeah.
It's like trickery. It's like sorcery. Like that's what they're great at.
That's crazy. It's like these rules apply to this group of people, but you think you this group of people, but
And
you
you
really
ain't.
not.
Yeah, exactly.
That's
You
crazy.
made them apply to you.
Yeah, you made them
Exactly.
apply to you. That's crazy.
Like yeah.
But see, I'm not gonna lie. Not that I don't believe like everything about it, but it's just hard to fathom. They was traveling for months at a time, had everybody's body cramped up on the boat.
Well, that's why everybody ain't make it.
A lot of us couldn't have made
Yeah,
it.
that's why a lot of them didn't make it, but it for sure happened. Like, yeah, I definitely believe that. You know what I mean? Through my research and stuff, it happened. But a lot of people, like the number is exaggerated, I believe, and a lot of people still just did not make it because of what you're saying. Like, that's a long voyage and the conditions and all that, especially back then. Like, no. But, yeah. It just come down to we not from Africa though. We from here, and we just happen to look alike. Like, not to say we not related, but it's just like, yo, shit. I'm like your family from, you know what I mean, down south or something.
Right.
I'm over here. Like, yeah, we family, but
I'm still
I'm
from out here. Yeah,
you know what I mean. Like
that
that's
don't
what it
make
is.
me from out there.
Yeah, I didn't grow up down there. Like I'm from here.
No, that's a fact. You ever heard of the Gullah Wars?
Yeah, I heard of it. I
That-
haven't done much research and stuff like that though.
Because I was just wondering, like, that's basically how they say we ended slavery. Like, we did. Like, we was fighting all of our owners. Like, all the plantation owners, we was whooping their ass. It was a big-ass resurrection from Florida all the way to New York, damn near in Canada type shit. And then I guess they came out with the Emancipation Proclamation. But I didn't know much about it. I thought you might have knew more about it than I do, because
I haven't looked a whole lot, done a whole lot of research into that, but I definitely heard of it.
get some credence. Do you think it's more likely that we brought about, like, we forced them to end slavery, or Abraham Lincoln just had a change of heart and was like, we got to stop doing this to them?
I think Abraham Lincoln was about being fair and was, you know,
He was solid.
Yeah, like at
Practice
the end of the day.
equity.
And from my research, like we grow up thinking like Abraham Lincoln like was a white man. Like I don't really believe that. I think he was mixed. You feel me?
I heard that a lot, bro.
Yeah,
Like, he was the first
which
black
would make
president.
sense. You know what I mean? Yeah, that's and then like we could be wrong, right? I don't know the nigga. You feel me? But I'm just saying, like that's kind of what and it would make sense because you know what I mean. He doing what he did.
He free, yeah. And they try to get him up out of here, too.
Yeah, and so I mean, yeah. So
You said like they trick us into breaking laws, right?
Yeah.
What are some ways that they do that?
All right. So first off, I would say they trick you out of your position because the moment that first off, it's two citizens under the Constitution. You got a private, non-statutory, citizen, like a private citizen, private American, state national, however you want to slice it. Then you have a district citizen, a.k.a. a U.S. citizen. A district citizen, Washington District of Columbia, Washington, D.C. You are a citizen of Washington, D.C., of that district. That district is like
A separate entity.
without you know what I mean? Like it's a Roman enclave. So
Like, they got their own flag and all type of shit.
it's I don't even take on cases out there, bro.
Wow.
Like, it's entirely different in that jurisdiction.
Wow.
And so they basically through law, through let's just say a loophole, was able to be like, okay, if you're a citizen, in this district we created a citizen a district citizen, aka a U.S. citizen. If you are a U.S. citizen, then this status follows you no matter where you're at in the land. So you can be all the way in California. Guess what? You're still a district citizen. You from here. So that's what has happened. So it trick you out your position.
Yeah.
You know, so instead of like, all right, y'all live here in Ohio, right? Like y'all would be considered, you know, state nationals of Ohio. That's different than being a district citizen, U.S. citizen.
Right.
Those are two entirely different statuses, two entirely different people, two entirely different behaviors, thought processes, logic. Like that's just entirely different.
Damn. So when our parents signed the birth certificate, we're agreeing to be district citizens.
Yes.
And we apply to
You
jobs.
are being
and
forced to be district citizens. Yes.
What'd you say?
When we apply to jobs and they say U.S. citizen, is that tricking us too? Or-
Yeah. That and so when you
agreeing.
when you hear me mention it's a whole different type of behavior, that's what I mean. You're acting as a U.S. citizen.
Are we allowing them
You're
to
checking U.S. citizen box. You do business like a U.S. citizen. Everything that you do is the mindset of a U.S. citizen and not a state national.
Damn. So
Not
it's a
a
different
private
mindset.
citizen. It's a whole. Think about it.
So when we check that box, because you saying it's a different mindset, as soon as we check that box, it's basically like stupid. Like
Think
that's
about
the
the
box.
mentality behind that.
I forget who it was, but there's some politician on record saying like, "Hey, you guys vote for the Federal Reserve every day by your actions. It's because you don't understand banking, you don't understand who you are, you don't understand your status, so you act out of position. You act like a U.S. citizen." And
Do they
US
take
citizens,
more money out of our checks because we check that box off or something?
Any way they can rape you, they do it when you check you're a U.S. citizen because
You told them they could, basically.
exactly.
Damn.
That's insane.
What I was gonna say is like think about the mentality. Like for you to even check that box, you already come in pre-framed. Like this is who I am.
Yes.
You ain't even giving it a second.
They convinced you that you was that already, and
Yes,
then
already.
asked you, "Who are you?"
Yeah,
like they
nah,
convinced you.
just to make sure
just
you
to
still.
confirm. Who are you again? Okay, yeah. Just make sure everything good.
Yeah, make sure the hypnotized pass.
Yeah.
You really got hypnotized.
Think about that. So every time you do something, we just checking. Hey, you still a U.S. citizen? All right, bet.
Whoa,
Hey,
that's
you still a
crazy.
U.S. citizen? All right,
He's still under the. He's still under the.
Think about it. Every time you
hypnosis.
do, maybe every quarter, you checking. You confirming to them. You reconfirming like, yeah, I'm a U.S. citizen.
Go get a physical. You a U.S. citizen. That's insane.
Every which way, it's like you confirm it all the time. So it's like, why am I supposed to treat you any different?
Right.
So you got to think about that. Then you catch on to what I'm saying. Then you start talking to people differently, and they like. Then you get mad because they not listening to you. But then, for 25, 30 years or however long, you've been saying you're a U.S. citizen.
Yeah.
I'm supposed to believe you today?
Right.
No, you're going to have to
Yeah.
prove to me that,
Facts.
you different. Like, and you really know something.
Yeah.
Otherwise, bro, you're a U.S. citizen.
And that's when you got to be really educated on there to even
Right.
express that to somebody.
So I imagine you getting a lot of calls from fathers that like are separated from their children or they on child support. Is it easier if do it make it harder when they've been agreeing that they're a U.S. citizen this whole time?
Yeah, because chances are they're in the middle of a court case and everything. And so the way they've handled this court case is of a U.S. citizen. So now it's like, bro, we got a whole, it's like instead of having to walk up a hill, it's like we got to climb a mountain.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because your actions have said you're a U.S. citizen. I can't help U.S. citizens, bro.
That's
Only
tough.
lawyers can help U.S. citizens, and they barely do that.
How do you approach a court like situation as a private American?
Well, first thing you're doing is alerting them who you are, your status, and hey, I require a righteous court, a competent court, a court of equity where it's going to be fair. You know what I mean? And my rights are seen in this court. Like that's what you're saying. And essentially, if you can't give me that, then I can't come in your courtroom. And that is what we call an abatement. That is you challenging the jurisdiction because it's, if you can't see my rights and if you know what I mean, like, well,
can't
then
get
I'm
a
already at a
speech.
disadvantage.
Yeah,
like,
right.
why would I set myself up like
Right.
that? You know what I'm saying? So,
Yeah.
like that's the way that you're gonna approach it. You know what I mean?
Is that the case for a lot of like the fathers that you work with trying to just get off child support or just get their kids, or like do you have to do abatements a lot?
when it comes to child support, like you would do an abatement, but most people are like already beyond that. Like abatement is like the very first thing you have to do. If you don't do it, then you waive it. Like,
so once you in too deep, it's already slow.
Yeah, okay. You got to come with a whole different strategy and stuff. So, but I've pushed it more over the past year, so more and more people are on that. It's just, when it comes to child support, people already be jammed up. And then when it comes to like child custody, yeah, that ain't really got nothing to do with abatements at all. It's more so securing the title to your children in trust.
You mentioned like you got to get into the right court. So you saying like it's a court for U.S. citizens and then it's a different court for private Americans?
That's the perfect way to put it, yes.
Okay.
There's no magistrate. It's the same court, but it's different. Yeah,
so there's a court. You got the court at law or the military courts, right? Same thing. That's for U.S. citizens, district citizens. They are like soldiers. Like your birth certificate name, like your birth certificate name. That's equivalent to like Rambo. Rambo is a war name, right? That ain't his real name, but Rambo. Hey, he get the cooking when it's wartime. You feel me? Like that's what your birth certificate.
That's your government name, literally.
Yeah. And so, oh shit, I forgot. So what was the question?
It was the difference between the courts.
Between
for private citizens and district citizens.
Yeah, and so all right, so yeah, you got two of those citizens, and it's two different courts. So the military court, that's for the U.S. citizen, but then the court of equity, that's for the private American, the private citizen, pre-1933. But it's the same court. Same court. It's just the energy in there.
Different modes.
Like they gotta make the jurors people that really look like you or reflect your background.
That's a part of it. That's a part of civilian due process. But in terms of just understanding if you're in a court of equity or in a court at law or military court, there's no way for you to know other than the energy in the court. So when I say that, I mean like when you go in the courtroom, typically the judge is being stern. He's like calling you, by your full name or your last name, right? And he just got a hard demeanor. You know what I mean? It feel like, yo, this nigga he about to cook me in here. You're right. But when you're in a court of equity, that's not the energy. The energy is he's calling you by your first name, same way. You know what I mean? Same way we be in here chopping it up, call you by your first name, more respect, the energy, like he's trying to help you. He becomes an advocate for you.
And you got more say so.
He's not going to just tell you the law, but he's going to be like, he's going to help you out. And if you know your shit, you're going to peep that and pick up on that and be able to handle yourself properly. And it's a whole different mode, whole different energy.
And it's the same judge.
The same judge.
Crazy.
So if you see my skits, you know what I mean, or I've talked about it sometimes, it's like you also got to peep the analogy of the law. So to the regular person, you might watch a judge spin in his chair and then start talking to you, and you be like, oh, this nigga just spinning his chair. Like, I ain't never seen nothing like that. But you don't know what it means. You just like, it's kind of weird, but you can just keep talking and shit. But to somebody like us, we know, oh, this just went from military court to court of equity. This is the analogy of the law. He just spun in his chair. Like, but people don't know that. Or, if a judge, leave out and then come back, that could
just spun in his chair.
Yeah, exactly. That would be the equivalent. Now it's a whole different jurisdiction. Peep how he talking to you. Is he calling you by your first name? Is the energy good and shit? You know what I mean? Did he come to you and shake your hand and stuff like that? People miss stuff like that, and they'll be thinking, yeah, he came to shake my hand or whatever. Man, fuck this judge. He still was, Like, nah, you tripping. Like, you did something right. He just came to shake your hand. He's about to go up there, and he's on your side now. Like, express yourself properly.
That's
and he
tough.
got you. Yeah. But people don't pick up on stuff like that and don't understand. You know what I mean? So,
have you ever
just like that? Same court, same judge, and everything.
Have you? And that's crazy that you asked that, because that same judge got to learn both courts, like how to operate under, and you got to learn the cues to look for too. I was gonna ask you, have you ever worked with artists in the music business.
Yeah.
What's the most common thing you gotta fight for on their behalf?
Child support. Child support. It's child support, and then just understanding how to protect their equities in the deals that they do, like especially if they like independent. You know what I mean? So it's just like they doing the independent thing and they making moves, but they still got lawyers and shit and that's cool. Not trying to downplay no lawyers, you know what I mean. But in terms of like really protecting your equity and stuff like that, I really break that down, and I break it down better than lawyers do. That comes with understanding the structure when it comes to a PMA, a private church. You know what I mean? IRS see that as a 508c1a. Then having the private trust with that, so that you can conduct business through your private church, and you can protect your assets. But then even then, it's like just understanding the structure. You can have a managing trust and have your LLC, have that all structured properly, and have the profits flowing, back to the church and the trust properly, right? So helping them understand that, securing the equity in all deals, and especially the independent people.
I know a lot of them. I done seen so many like stories about artists, but I know a lot of them don't even realize that you getting paid from different countries. You getting paid from. I mean, of course you getting. That's what the 360 deal is. We taking every route that you get paid from, and we making it. But before they sign that, like, are you in the rooms trying to show them how the label is trying to attack them, or have you ever been in that position?
I've never been in the position where I'm talking to somebody before they go to a label. So I've never been in that position.
Okay.
So I can't really speak on that. But what I would say is, what I do help artists with, and just people in general, like going forward, is, hey, structure whatever contract you have, like it needs to be a trust agreement. And it needs to be settled, like it needs to, like within that, it needs to say, hey, you gotta, if there's some discrepancy, we gotta go to a court of equity, because now we know it's gonna be fair. Like, I'm the type of person, I'm not trying to get over on you, but I want stuff to be fair. Right. And I don't want you to get over on me. But so if you just sign these regular contracts and stuff, or even have your lawyer look over and stuff, now granted, you can have, a good lawyer properly, and they're going to protect you, and, to the best of their ability. And that's cool. That's what we want. But just in terms of, like, bulletproof and shit, like, nah, it needs to be a trust agreement, and that needs to be governed by equity. So now I know you can't just pull me into any type of court, you know what I mean? And, like, nah, I know we got to be in a court of equity. It's going to be fair. There's no way it's not going to be fair. So whatever the outcome in this situation, I'm fine with, because I know it's going to be fair.
When you say trust agreement, what's explain that a little bit.
So in the contract, all right, so any contract that you sign right now, it's a commercial agreement. Mm-hmm. When you do, and even though they might say like it's private, right? But it's a private commercial. Like, it's not truly private like that, because you're a public district citizen, aka U.S. citizen. Right. So it could never be truly private. Now, how do you create truly private relations? Trust. Okay. So what I would do is, all right, somebody would bring me their contract, right? I would review it, and I would be like, all right, let's make these changes so that it is a trust agreement, and it's under, it's governed by exclusive equity. So, you got to be, so now we're talking private trust relations. So, grantor, beneficiary, trustee, on both ends and shit. So that's kind of what we want to do.
Okay. When how do I ask this?
Like NDAs, like when I do NDAs and I do cases and stuff like that, like those are all trust agreements, because like if we got some discrepancy, you know what I mean? Like, okay, cool, but you can't just put me into any type of court. You feel me? Like, no. The moment you try to file a case and pull me in court, boom, I'm hitting you with an abatement. Hey, we got this trust agreement, and this trust agreement, it doesn't belong in this jurisdiction.
So when you do
we've agreed to that.
A commercial agreement, that's kind of like putting the government in the middle of your business.
Yeah. Exactly.
Okay.
That's
Instead of just handling it people to people type shit.
You basically saying like, I need y'all to watch over this and make sure, you feel me, nothing go wrong.
And we do that in hella situations.
So so a commercial is just like, it's just like, all right, if we get a discrepancy, then we got to go to court. This judge is going to think like a lawmaker, or like, you know, like man would think. But man is not perfect. Man is manipulative. Man is, you know, all types of shit that like we just are. You know what I mean? You want to go into a court where a judge is thinking, what would Jesus do? What would God do? You know what I mean? Like that's the court that you want to go into, right? Because God or higher power is going to, like, all about it being fair. You know what I mean? So that's the big difference.
I got a question. Can you apply that same thing to like an auto loan or something like that too?
Yeah, like I got in my academy, I teach people properly how to like essentially get cars and discharge debt. It's just understanding. Like, so we deal with cars, just understanding suretyship and trust law. You can discharge a debt with a car. You can secure a car, you know, in trust, and
But is that like before you sign the agreement, or can you like still like do something after you sign?
No, so what I educate people on is like how to protect your equity in a deal, right? So when you go to sign, I educate you on like how to sign. Okay. So a lot of times, like right now, you would just go sign your name, right?
Right.
All right, so let me explain that to you. That's acting as a U.S. citizen. Right? Like, you know what I mean? And I get it, like we don't know, right? But that's U.S. citizen behavior because one, that is you're not restricting your signature. You're basically, all right, so you're supposed to be special. All right, so, but what you are saying to them is like, hey, I'm like everybody else. I'm general. I'm like everybody else. You're supposed to be special. And how you tell them you special is, hey, yeah, this is my name, but this is the capacity I'm coming in. I'm the grantor beneficiary. You know what I mean? Or I'm the heir to this. Or, you know, I'm the subrogee to this. Or like, you gotta, like, whatever remedy or whatever capacity that you're coming in, you gotta let them know. And I'm reserving my rights. So when you don't do this, you're basically saying, nah, I'm like everybody else.
That's cool.
You want to say, nah, nigga, I'm special. You gonna handle me a certain way. Like, I have rights here. I know, I'm protecting myself in this transaction. Same way y'all protecting yourself, I gotta protect myself too.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you just like, I'll tell you what you're doing. Imagine you got $100,000. You go into the bank, and you like, I want to get this Benz or whatever. You like, here you go, 100,000. Like, that's just it. You just like, here
You
go
a
100,000.
U.S. citizen. You for sure.
That's acting as a U.S. citizen. Like, you just like, here goes 100,000.
Instead of creating
Like, it's
trust
almost like, or I'll put it to you a better way. Here's the perfect way to put it. Let's just say you got $1 million in gold. You go into the bank and you saying, hey, I got that Benz for 100,000. I like that. I want that. This is like, here's $1 million in gold. Let me get that. Let me get that Benz.
And the Benz is only like $100K. Damn. And you saying that's when you sign just regular and sign and give them the contract.
Yeah, like, yeah.
But
like, you just giving the point. I'm making a few different points. You just giving away money.
Yeah, you're
just
overpaying
giving away your
for that
interest.
shit.
You just exactly.
Just from that, because you mentioned the promissory note earlier.
Yeah, so essentially, like, if your promissory note is 100,000, like, they can 10x that
from you just signing it and giving it to them.
As soon as you sign
and
as a
make
US
you
citizen,
pay and make you pay them. You acting like a U.S. citizen.
That's crazy.
It's like, bro, you basically, when you go to the bank, you're saying, hey, all right, you go buy a Benz or whatever car, you're like, hey, that Benz is 100,000. Hey, here go 100,000, and I'm gonna pay you 100,000 for that Benz.
Do all because you just don't know.
All because you don't know. You literally saying, you sitting at the crib, you scrolling, you be like, you looking for a car, money's up and shit. You like, Benz is nice. That I'm about to go get that. They want $100,000 for that. Bet.
$250,000.
You go up there and you gonna be like, yo, I want that Benz. Hey, here go $100,000. And you know what? I'm gonna pay you every month until we get to another $100,000 because I want that Benz. You basically saying, you know what? That Benz is so hard. I'm gonna pay you double what you want for it.
The whole time, the price they wanted for it was already way more than what it costs.
Bruh, well,
if you getting it at the dealership, they gonna get you.
Yeah, but it's not. It's not necessarily. It's not really about that, bro. It's like whatever price tag you want to put on it, it don't matter. The point I'm making is you paying double.
Yeah,
you paying double. Because the promissory note is already that like if a Benz is 100,000, right? The promissory note you giving to them is worth 100,000 and more, plus more. So you already pay for it, but then you telling them, hey, I'm gonna pay you every month for the next 3 to 5 years. So you paying double.
What are they doing with the promissory note to make more money off of it?
They trading it to the next bank.
That's crazy.
So now if your car gotta get repossessed. I put it to you
like this, bro. So think of it like this. All right, let's just say I'm a car lot and I got 10 people paying me $1,000 a month for cars. Mm-hmm. Well, then I know I'm gonna make $10,000 a month, right? So I can sell that too.
Sell the contract
exactly.
to another bank so they could get
right. But that's not dollar bills that we go to the bank that we go to the store and spend, right? You're not going to a store and be like, yo, here go a contract, let me get a bag of chips.
It's the contract. It's like option trading, bro.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
So if I go about it, if I get a car on an auto loan as a private citizen and I reserve my rights, let's say I'm paying, or I'm not gonna be paying on the car at all.
No, in good faith, you still gonna pay on the car.
Yeah, because it's a loan, right?
Yeah, I teach people best practice, right? So in theory, like you get it, so you like, nah, I ain't gonna be paying on the car. Like I already paid that motherfucker. Like you get it now, right? But the way this shit is set up and designed, we've been acting as U.S. citizens. So they gonna continue to be like, nah, you're a U.S. citizen until you prove over and over that you're not. So with that being said, I educate people on best practice. What you need to do is continue to make the payment until you handle this shit. And plus, you got to think, well, if you're going to be able to handle this shit or even get some money back off of it, well, why wouldn't you continue to pay it? You're going to get the money back.
Yeah.
So, yes.
Wow.
But even if you didn't get no money back, it's like, nigga, like, I don't know about y'all, but okay. If I pay on a car, if I got a 5-year deal on a car, right, and I pay for 2 years, you know what I mean, trying to figure this shit out, and all I get is the car, well, nigga, I'm happy because I was about to pay 5 years on this month. You know what I mean? So, like, I only paid 2 years. Oh, yeah, I'm good. I still won. You know what I mean? So even if you didn't get no money back, it's still like, well, you didn't pay the full amount either.
Right.
So you still won.
You mentioned discharging debt. Did I mean just completely getting rid of whatever it meant? Okay.
Yeah.
How you go about helping people do that?
Just when it comes to like suretyship and trust law, understanding. So understanding that, like, really it comes down to merger, understanding merger, and a lot of people don't. There's a lot of talk about trust, right? But people don't know the power of trust. People don't know what all you can do. They just know transfer your assets to there and they protect it. But it's a lot of different things that come with trust. And if you start to understand merger, it's like, okay, so try to explain this in the most basic example. All right. You run a red light. You get a traffic ticket. Cost you, a couple $100. Now you going to court, right? All right. So the prosecutor is charging you with a violation. Same way a clerk is charging you for a bag of chips. That makes sense? All right. So now you got this couple $100, charge. So what does that mean? That means you are a debtor, right? Because you owe money. You're in debt, right? We're all on the same page? All right. So once you start to understand more about trust law, then you understand a debtor is also, it can be implied as a trustee. So now we're talking trust language, trust terms. So then so we understand that the actual person that is being charged with something is really the name on the birth certificate. So then that's the debtor then, and that's the trustee, the name on the birth certificate. Remember, we not the name on the birth certificate. It's like Target. We can never be Target. That's a business, right? All right. So now we all understand that, the foundation and shit. So he's a debtor/trustee. Now, when you separate yourself, and you understand that, right? So now you can come in a different capacity. Hey, I'm a private American. And the person y'all charging is a U.S. citizen, right? Okay, now I'm going to give you some equity. What's equity? All right, you go to the store, they charge you, $5 for a bag of chips. You in debt. Well, you're going to give them $5 in equity so that they get the money that they need, and you can get the bag of chips, and everybody happy, right?
Balance it out.
Right, balance it out. Balance the ledger. You heard me say that plenty of times. Right. So that's what you want to do in that court case. Okay, I'm gonna give you some equity, but I'm not giving you a couple $100. No, I'm not gonna do that. There's a couple ways I can do this. So there's charging instruments that is bankrolling the court case. Charging instruments means the charging instruments is what's charging the debtor for that violation. It's as if, hey, you ran a red light, I'm charging you $200 because you broke the law. That's a charging instrument.
Okay.
To keep it
that's
simple.
the way that they charge you, yeah.
But so you can't have debt without credit and vice versa. Mm-hmm. So you can take that charging instrument and it's like a reconveyance. Like basically you can turn it to equity. I'll just say it like that. You can turn that negative into a positive.
Because for any negative you have, you gotta have some positive. So you can't have debt without credit.
Exactly. Mm-hmm. And so boom, now you didn't turn that negative into a positive. You can give it back to them and be like, hey, here's the equity, here's the positive. Apply that to that U.S. citizen, that debtor, that birth certificate name. Apply that to that. Yeah. So now we good. So now what happened is the U.S. citizen was a debtor, right? The birth certificate, that was a debtor/trustee, right? But because you came in and gave it some equity, turned that into a positive, and you directed them to apply that to the account, right? Now what happens? That debtor, it becomes a creditor, or that debtor becomes a beneficiary.
Okay, and that's the opposite.
So you can't be a debtor. Like you can't be like you either up or down. You feel me? I either owe or I don't. You feel what I'm saying? Like I can't owe you and not owe you at the same time. You know what I mean? So that's the merger. I went from went from being a debtor to a beneficiary. You see what I'm saying? I went from being a trustee to a beneficiary. I went from being a debtor to a creditor, or just, even. You feel what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like, that's the merger. And so that's what I help people, that's what I educate people on when it comes to court cases, when it comes to, transactions that you do with the banks, child support, any type of situation, like even, when it comes to protecting your assets, protecting, your business, your personal, everything that you own, right? Like, if you get into a situation like that, like, I'm helping you overcome that, and that's the way I just explained to y'all, like, that's the way we do that.
That's money.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. And I'll be like, well, a lot of people, they talking that shit about trust, you know what I mean? Like, cool, I'm glad everybody waking up to trust, but, hey, understands there's levels to this shit. Just transferring your assets to a trust, that's cool, that protected. But guess what? We can shut down court cases with trust. You know what I mean? Like, it's entirely, like, when it comes to child custody, yeah, you know how we handle that? With trust.
You put the child in a trust.
In the trust, exactly. And then you start expressing trust law, not, just I've been doing, this and this for my kid, and I've been taking care of it. Like, yeah, nah, fuck all that shit. Listen, this is trust property here, okay? That's how we want to start talking when it's about, child custody, which is why anytime anybody, comes to me and they got that type of case, like, we always kill it. Like, we don't play when it comes to child custody. Like, and that's an easy win for us.
Mm-hmm.
I would say it's a simple win for us. It's not easy, but it's a simple win. You know what I mean? It's not complex. Like, we know what to do.
Y'all got a recipe.
Is it gonna be hard? Is it gonna be emotional and all that? Yeah, because it's your kids. But this shit's simple. Not easy, but it's simple.
It's like, it's basically like when you put your child in a trust, it's basically saying like, this is mine. This is my property. You can't touch this. You can't take this.
And you also removing yourself from, like, because you would encourage people to put themselves in a trust, right?
Yeah.
Because you removing yourself from that entity. Almost.
Yeah, the moment that, so you really remove yourself and you become not I don't say become, but you correcting your status to that of a private American state national. And so once you do that and you got that record, you transfer that to your private trust.
And it's so crazy that you explain it like that, because, like, to go back to the auto loan, like, people be treating their cars like it's them. Like, they try to take care of it in the same fashion, but, I mean, when you operating like a U.S. citizen, of course you is, because you're not going to be able to separate your belongings from who you are.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
Because you got to keep it up to date.
Everybody, it's hard to separate your belongings from, like, who you are, and everybody wants to have it in their pocket. And have it right here, got to touch it. You know what I mean? That's how we grew up, right? And that's exactly why I explain to people, too. I'm like, listen, I get it. That's how we grew up. But when you start to understand trust law and start to understand the titles and trust, then you start to understand, oh, that's a legal title. When I got possession of stuff and I want it in my pocket, that's legal. Mm-hmm. Well, you got to think. You got possession of your car, right? Well, who you making a payment to? They making a payment to somebody, right?
Whether it's a bank.
So that other person got equitable title. You got legal title, but the other person got equitable title. Right. You paying somebody else. We want to hold equitable title or absolute title. If we hold equitable title, then we are the one,
the beneficiary.
Well, we get, and we getting the rents, the profits, the interest and shit, right? Yeah, we the beneficiary. That's why we want to hold equitable title. Or we hold absolute title, which means you hold equitable title and legal title.
Ooh.
Right. So now you got possession and you not like you don't pay anybody. Like you own it outright. Like for real.
Let's say you put your
no
home,
property taxes, no type of taxes, no none of that shit.
I was going to talk about property. Let's say you put a home in a trust, and something like what happened in L.A. happened. Do you still is that land still yours? That the home was built on?
Yeah. Yeah, you still You still if your deal is for the land and the house, then you still own that. You just lost the house, but you still, you just rebuild on that or whatever. But yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to do it. Everything got to go in the trust. And
that should be
learn.
A land trust. Yeah, for property.
What was your academy? Matisse Academy?
Yeah, Matisse Academy.
Everybody go to that, run to that, rush that, man.
Yeah,
I know a lot of y'all need that.
AMYR _law, and tap in with me in Matisse Academy. You already know what it is, man.
For sure.
A lot of people just are being empowered and learning their rights under the Constitution and how to express themselves properly. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And not just here, bro. Like in, like St. Croix and St. Thomas.
All over the world.
Yeah, you know what I mean? They always say America is like the best country in the world. You believe that? Knowing what you know? The best country in the world, I will say that all countries have their flaws, and that I don't know that we're the best country, but I will say we are definitely one of the greatest countries. And like Like, not to say I wouldn't live somewhere else, right? But I'm not the type of person that be like, fuck America. Like, no way. Because people haven't lived in other places in third world countries and all that. Like, you don't really know. Like, you may be mad. You may think you want that. But this entire world looks different if the United States is not who they are. And you know what I mean? So I'm like, I get it. We bullies, we do a whole lot of shit we probably shouldn't do, and we act a different way, and I get that. But I'm like, yo, we might not be the best, but we for damn sure ain't nowhere near the worst. Yeah. Damn sure. And I'll take what we got over here. The one thing, I would tell you this. If our food / healthcare was better here, I would absolutely say we are the greatest thing God ever made on this motherfucker. Like, straight up. Like, I would be like, there's never been a greater nation in the history of the books than what we have now. If our healthcare and food was, like food other countries, fresh and, not all
real.
Real at the end of the day. But because of that, it's hard for me to be like, you know what I mean? Like, we the best, but we definitely
can't complain.
We top 3. I'll say that. We top 3. You know what I mean? I'd rather be in the top 3 than not.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? So, yeah.
Fact.
Amyr Law. Appreciate you coming through.
Everybody go rush that Matisse Academy. Everybody in the black community especially. We need this type of knowledge and this type of education, and ain't nobody better to get it from than Amyr. So shout out to bro.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate y'all having me on. You know what I mean? Like, this dope what y'all doing. The gala and everything, that shit was lit. Like I was telling you, Cam, but I'll tell y'all, like, that shit inspired me. You know what I mean? Like, I just told him, I'm like, nah, every time I do an event now, like, I'm in the suit, you feel me? I'm trying to have more upscale and luxurious shit. Like, nah, y'all.
That's the beauty of this. Like, I draw inspiration from every one of STB, so I'm glad everybody else can get the same experience I get, for sure.
Bro,
man,
especially, like, y'all young niggas, too, so... Like, to be inspired by, people younger than me and shit, like, I fuck with that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I ain't no hater or nothing, and, like, I really fuck with that. That's why I was trying to be a team player and make sure I get here.
Hey, shout out to that, bro. We need more of that in the community, man. Y'all go follow Amyr Law. You trying to give me your Instagram name again?
Yep. So, Amyr Law, AMYR_Law LAW.
Yes, sir.
Let's get it.